Happy Saturday, because there's no chance I'm getting this edited out on time. Hey, welcome to The Musical Show, the show where I talk about music. No way! So, let's just get straight into it. I know we're not even 20 seconds in, but we are starting off with Kodak Black with When I Was Dead, which is as bad as pretty much every other Kodak album. He's one of those artists who are laughably awful and don't know how to make good music, and how he made it out, I'll never understand. With every Kodak album, there are always the boring moments that basically last the whole fucking album, and yeah, it's far more than moments, really. And songs such as Close to Me and Scared of My Money were absolutely horrendous, and the vocal performance in the latter was so hard to listen to, as it was so bad. My money. What the fuck? In general, the beats were bland, empty, and the drums used sounded like shit. I don't care if it's a nitpicker, they sounded like fucking shit. And there was nothing good about them for the most part. There were some solid beats though, and Kylie Grant was pretty listenable, as were like 3 okay tracks. But yeah, that aside, dog shit. The instrumentals are horrific. Kodak either rides on a beat flow-wise or doesn't come close. And sadly, the latter happens far more. So yeah, plain dog shit, and the features were as bad as Kodak 2. Why the fuck can't I speak? 1.2 out of 10. Next up, Chris Brown with 1111. Why people still listen to Chris Brown? I don't fucking know, because he sucks. Chris has super annoying vocals, and the instrumentals were at times plain bad. But yeah, at best, even then, just okay, and too mellow for their own good pretty much throughout. With songs such as Moonlight having potential, but being so boring in the end, as many songs here are. Feature-wise, they're mostly forgettable, but unproblematic aside from Future on That's On You, who was horrendous. Future can't sing. We learned that years ago with the Hendrix album, but he hasn't. What I really want to talk about, though, is the horrendous second half, which may start off with Midnight Freak, the best song of the album, which is kind of a bop, but from there, the best song, Bouncing / G5, still sucked, and songs such as Red Flags were horrendous, and that one specifically has a plain awful hook. So yeah, as always, Chris Brown has released a bloated, annoying, corny pile of shit. It's almost as bad as he is as a person. 1.7 out of 10. Moving on to Alan Walker with Welcome to Walker World. New album, same old Alan Walker. To absolutely no one's surprise, the song with Vic Starty isn't even involved, it's just in the music video and the big name. Better Off Alone, part 3, was horrendous. It's been going around TikTok. I'd already heard the chorus of the song. Yeah, I already knew it was dog shit. But one of those songs that is just like an interpolation into the interpolation. I don't know what the fucking song's called. I presume it's called Alone, because that's in brackets, but yeah. Horrific. David Guetta-esque. As for other tracks, they often had awful everything from the instrumentals to the vocals, but very often were saved from being bottom of the barrel by those epic beat drops, which actually weren't too bad, especially on some of the tolerable tracks like Hero. Lords of the Heroes had an okay one too, but that was the only good thing about that track. Everything else was terrible. And as much as I do say that, I make excuses for some tracks, there are some that are really bottom of the barrel, such as like Yesterday. But hey, Welcome to Walkabout was kind of hard. So this isn't F tier dog shit, but it's still a D minus, probably. It's pretty awful. 2.4 out of 10. Next up is NBA Youngboy with Decided To. I decided to listen to this in the end. And it's not horrendous or anything, but it's not special. The rapping aside from songs such as Free Sex, where it sounds like his spleen is... Where it sounds like his spleen is being ripped out of his body, which kind of happened on the new Kid Laroi project, was standard, and while the beats mostly had cool elements to them, especially in songs such as Wrong, they were still pretty standard, and there were some boring ones, such as the one on Freestyle, which was also 6 minutes long for no fucking reason. There was no need. Still, deep down, had a phenomenal beat, and I won't hear otherwise. Rod Wave is just okay, and his song keeps the only feature on Better Than Ever, so that's cool. Neither rapper did anything different to anything they've ever done, and there were also high highs as well as low lows. I've already mentioned one of the two highlights, but the other one is Chopper Gizzle, which also had a phenomenal beat and was just amazing in every way, especially by Youngboy standards. However, there were some lowlights. The mix in general just sucked absolute ass, and My Body and I'm a Demon are both just plain awful, especially rapping wise. So yeah, this thing doesn't live up to the original, nor does it do anything of note. Decided is one of his better albums, personally. But yeah, standard Youngboy, which isn't bad but isn't really good. 5.3 out of 10. Next up is surprisingly AJR with The Maybe Man. People are calling this tolerable for a reason. It does have the usual AJR quirks that suck, especially on like Yes I'm a Mess and the corny lyricism on like Steve is Going to London and I Won't. But the experimentalness of the album wasn't too bombastic and millennial to be enjoyable that much. The DJ is crying for help, kind of is, but it's also just really fucking fun, and the chorus is like super fun. I like it. It's awful, but it kind of slaps. And there are some songs that are just like standard and normal and not annoying, such as like the Done song and God Is Really Real, the latter of which being a tribute to the recently deceased dad. Rest in peace to him, Gary Met. And honestly, it's kind of beautiful, as is 2085 and the title track / opener, Maybe Man. So AJR really are making tolerable music now, and I would not put it past them to actually make a decent pop album, genuinely. If they just get a ghostwriter. Honestly, if they continue with the instrumental quality here, I think they'll be alright. It's still annoying, it's still mid, but it's not bad. 5.4 out of 10. Moving on to Trippie Redd. I was debating not reviewing this because he's dropping Volume 2, and I might as well just do it as an album at once. And you know what? Should I do it? I'll do a little review and then the whole thing. Basically, in a nutshell, it wasn't terrible, but it had very few highlights, and Yo Pierre Slime sucks. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to save everything else for the actual review of like the whole compilation, St. Michael Volume 2, of course, being a whole ass album. This is just like the first part of it, so I'm not going to go too much into detail apart from saying that this part 1 is a 5.4 out of 10. Moving on to Lola Brooke with Dennis Daughter. This album is heavily dedicated to her deceased father, with the album being named after him and the track Dear Dennis being written for him. That song's great, by the way. So overall, this album is probably the best to come out of the XXL class, and Lola's the only one, judging off this, that I'm intrigued about at all. There were some decent enough performances on the Cypher. Not many, but there were like 2 of them. I don't think Lola was actually one of them. I think Lola's wasn't actually that good, but she was okay here. Songs such as God Bless All the Rappers had great beats, decent flows and performances, and that song specifically was actually relatively well written, being an ode to many rappers who have died over the past few years, such as BNB Rock and Nipsey Hussle. We also got a more energetic banger-making side to her in songs such as The Closer Don't Play With It. That song already been going around. Her energy is just mad in that song. But there were songs with basic beats. A lot of the production actually felt a little bit amateur, and there were some misses such as, say, I Am Lola. But that hook is terrible in that track, by the way. But, yeah. This album is mid, and there is a lot of slop, there's a lot of genericness about it, but there's potential. Absolutely. Lola can rap. 5.5 out of 10. Moving on to Rick Ross and Meek Mill with Too Good To Be True. Fun fact, on first listen, I fell asleep for 2 hours and scrabbled it like 100 times. Yay. An album that seemingly came out of nowhere and all of a sudden was weeks away. This collab album has good performances from both rappers, but does anything else do its job? Not always. For example, I'd say the Tears for Fears sample on Go To Hell was a little optimistic. Decent enough, but like, don't put that feature over it. Don't put fucking whoever the hell was on it over it, because ruin the song. On to the features, they all suck. The vocals on the more R&B-ish artists all sucked in every song, such as like Tiana Taylor on Above the Law, and at best they were forgettable, such as Wale on Fine Lines, where I didn't notice them all that much, as good as the beat is in that track. As for beats in general, and as much as that song's a banger, they were either really good in the highs, such as Iconic, and really suited both rappers, or pretty forgettable. They were never bad on the lows, such as the awful Dead Last, which had awful features from both Vory and Fabulous. I don't know what Vory was thinking on this album, I'll be honest. He was terrible on both songs. He was bad on Grandiose too, so yeah. Overall, the rap and the beats are solids, but they aren't anything amazing at all, pretty much, and the features could be so awful they would ruin multiple songs, plus there being a few beats that weren't the best. But, yeah, boring at times, but it's not a bad effort, 6 out of 10. Moving on to James Murray with Are We There Yet? Which is mine normally, nothing special, but when it comes to YouTube albums, it's not bad. You All Here has a nice progression from Quiet to Loud, which was so good it was repeated about every single track on the album. Anyway. But it brings us to my main issue with the album. His vocals suit the loud stuff but not the quiet stuff due to the vocals' tone just not being that smooth. Don't get me wrong, they hear most choruses over the blazing rock guitars, but in the mellower stuff, they just don't really fit. The weakest track in my eyes is the follow-up to the track I just mentioned, You Are Here, so long. It rubbed me the wrong way with so much in its basicness that it didn't sound good, especially that chorus. However, most tracks are passable, as much as they are basic, such as like Denial, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy songs such as White Noise, in that song, that instrumental kind of beautiful, and yeah, banger track, as was Don't Blame Me, which had a really cool chorus. May not be the most special, but it's cool. So yeah, overall, it was passable, solid enough, but it did get repetitive, and it wasn't nothing special to begin with, but I'd be lying if I said this was bad. 6.1 out of 10. Moving on to the Kid Laroi with The First Time, which has been progressively growing on me all week. I gave it like a 5.7 first listen, but here we are. Is this the first time that he's created a good album? Probably. Is it too fucking long? Definitely. The man's voice is plain annoying at times, and there were some songs that I felt could have been better if his vocals were less annoying, such as like What's the Move. As much as that song's still a banger, him and Future, I think, didn't do great. First off, Sorry progresses phenomenally and it's pretty amazing. And Where Do You Sleep is probably his best song. That beat switch goes crazy hard. There are other highlights too, such as The Line and You, which were cute, and Closer Kids Are Growing Up had a great instrumental and fell under being cute too. As did What Just Happened, which I thought was dog shit on first listen because it's super basic, but it's a banger. Lyrically, this album's the usual stuff, but it's not that annoying aside from the first Strangers interlude, which was corny as fuck. So let's that whole concept better. By the way, what a song Strangers is. But what can you do? I don't see why it's so like awful, his lyricism and what he does with the lyrics. Like I don't see it. It's just not bad usually, but there are duds. As like every single release for this thing, they all seem to just suck. Too Much was boring, awful, and Central C's verse made it unbearable as it is so bad. That cum bar, man. What was it? I wank before you come in so I can fuck you longer. Something like that. It's a dog shit bar. And Love Again is still hard to listen to. Man, that hook is awful. There we fall, love again. That aside, the lower moments are more just bleh, more than bad. And overall, it's not bad. It's a pretty good album. 6.5 out of 10. Fair enough. Moving on to Larry June and Cardo with The Night Shift, which should technically be below that one, but I only upped that rating like a few hours back, so yeah. Sadly, Larry June can't rap on 808. That's the sentence. I'm going to be honest. This album was a huge disappointment as someone who has highly admired Larry June as of late and believes that The Great Escape is great because as great as that is, this one didn't scratch the same itch. The samples were far less beautiful, the beats were blander, the rapping was more annoyingly grating, Larry June ad-libs suck ass, it's just annoying as fuck. And yeah. However, there are highlights. Open a Clock Dim was really well produced, and I really admire tracks such as The Great Escape and Road Running. And the features were mostly great, especially Jordan Ward on Won't Wait and Too Short on GRGP. I'm not gonna act like Blast didn't really work on Without You, Blast interlude. He had a better feature on that interlude than I think he did on the song he did with Kendrick and Summer Walker. Honestly, I don't like that song that much, I'll be honest. It's not great. All that Two Chainz didn't slide on the beat of Ocean Cuisine. So, yeah, fire in general. Didn't exactly do as well as Big Sean on the album prior, but hey, they were solid. Even then, though, they aren't all that memorable. Nothing is. This album is as forgettable as albums have been in recent memory. And it's not even funny bad or anything, aside from Sweet Lady, where Dead Slow forgot how to sing. Assuming that she had talent in the first place. But, yeah. This thing is solid overall. It has solid features and some bangers, but it's so forgettable and bland, man. 6.4 out of 10. Next up is Chris Stapleton with Higher. I've never heard an album so consistently solid, but so consistently forgettable. Chris Stapleton is one of the few country artists that people actually love. And you can see why. His vocals are solid, and for once in country, his lyricism isn't corny or preachy. South Dakota sounds like it'd be a facepalm from that song title, because usually songs called South Dakota are going to be like, let me tell you about South Dakota, with some like bullshit bars about alcohol, but like that song's a fucking banger, so yeah. In general, the production was amazing. That song had amazing production, and it pretty much never ruined any songs. The vocals were solid enough, as was the lyricism. So why did I call it forgettable, you may ask? Because the song structures are basic as fuck and it's nothing special. Ding ding dong. That's basically all I have to say. As it just feels like so many of these songs have already been made before, and tracks such as The Bottom are just mind-numbingly basic that they come out like mid. So yeah, as consistently good as this album is, I'd be lying if I said it was anything special, or that memorable. A few tracks aside, songs such as like Higher are incredibly produced and have great guitar work, and Close on Mountains on My Mind was cool instrumentally, even if the lyricism one wasn't particularly of much note. So yeah, solid but nothing special. It has its highlights, but it has a lot of just basic tracks that aren't that interesting. As mostly solid as they are, 7.1 out of 10. Moving on to, I'm surprised at this, Chasing Status with Too Rough, Volume 1. Very few actually want to admit they enjoy drum and bass music, but I find it fun if it's executed well, and this is definitely executed well. It's very easy to make a bad track, and they do it through Massive and Crew, which felt really empty, and there were also basic and boring cuts, such as like Badadan, and the title track, Too Rough. So yeah, it's far from perfect, but the features largely suit the beats, and the beats themselves before the drop were usually kind of amazing, especially in songs such as Selector and 20 Man Down. Feature-wise, I was also impressed with many of them. RD on Liquor and Cigarettes, he fucking slid. As much as his hype may have sort of gone away after his pretty huge 2022, I really enjoyed his performance on that track. So, yeah, brought the right energy, did everything right. I don't mind RD, honestly. So, yeah. Overall, the beats were fire when they weren't awful, and the performances were inoffensive from everyone, and great at times, so yeah, really fun album. 7.2 out of 10. Moving on to Pink Pantheress with Heaven Knows. Huge admirer of Pink Pantheress, huge admirer. And she shows her unique production choices to still work, and she still managed to find ways of making it not formulaic, fleshed out, and boring. First off, the production here was straight up insane from front to back. To be able to mash her poppy sound with drill and Nice to Meet You and make it actually tolerable is genuinely impressive, and to make Kalela suit a BNX beat, on Bury Me, honestly, like, fair play. Amongst this, the production on both Capable of Love and my favourite track personally, The Isle. God, I love The Isle. It's just amazing, and overall, it's perfection from front to back. Also had the usual bangers that you'd expect that just slap. Boys Alive Part 2, obviously iconic. Ice Spice feature, like we all know Boys Alive Part 2, I don't need to go into it. And True Romance, defo the biggest like traditional bangers on the album. I still have the hook of True Romance stuck in my head, I'll be completely honest. And yeah, but I do have gripes. There are formulaic songs by Pink Panther standards such as Mosquito that you've heard from her a fuck ton, bad bars, and by that I mean Central C, and also Rima. The way he was mixed in, it just didn't work, honestly. So, yeah. That aside, this album is a phenomenon from front to back. The instrumentals are outstanding and mix mainstream sounds between the uniqueness of his personal sound to perfection. The vocals do their thing, and even if some choruses were repetitive, I don't care. Amazing album, 8.7 out of 10. But at the top is Aesop Rock with Integrated Tech Solutions. Woo! This album's phenomenal. The concept is really cool, and I think it's executed relatively well in large parts. I don't think it's perfect, but it's well enough. And that first half is outstanding, with the best of the best, such as Infinity Phil Goose Down and the absolute banger that is Mindful Solutionism. Pigeonometry is hard as fuck too, despite the song title being awful. The lyricism was solid enough throughout. It has Aesop's usual sort of like witty, funny, humour type shit. And while it creates some corny moments, such as the hook on By the River, which is still catchy, I enjoyed it. I found it really fun. So, yeah, ultimately, super hard to make an 18-track fully work, but he did. So, I definitely think there are flaws in a lot of the tracks, but, like, he made it work. And, yeah, there were some tracks, though, that did feel a bit repetitive, a bit nothing special, but they still banged. The whole album banged. It was really great. It was cohesive. Everything was fire. And yeah, the production, the instrumentation, not from rapping, was amazing. I didn't like the On Failure interlude, but the opener interlude thing was pretty cool. But yeah, the On Failure one's corny as shit. There were a fair bit few corny moments, and yeah, but that aside, amazing. Yeah, 8.9 out of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm listening to, do you know what? Fuck it. 11 projects, but I'm going to shout out 3 that I. Actually, no, I'm listening to 12, but I'm shouting out 2 that I won't. Starting off with Dolly Parton with Rockstar, which is part cover, part not cover. Has covers of the likes of like Every Breath You Take, Purple Rain, and yeah, it features Sting, Steve Perry, Ann Wilson, John Fogerty, Kid Rock, Steven Tyler, Stevie Nicks, Peter Frampton, John Jett and the Blackhearts, Chris Stapleton, Miley Cyrus, Pink, Brandy Carlisle, Kevin Cronin, Debbie Harry, Elton John, Melissa Etheridge, Lizzo, Sasha Flutes, Rob Halford, Simon Le Bon, Linda Perry, Emmylou Harris, Sheryl Crow, Pat Benatar, Neil Giraldo, Michael McDonald, Ronnie McDowell, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr and Lynyrd Skynyrd. 30 songs, 2 hours, 21 minutes. Why the fuck would I waste my time with this? As much as I love Dolly Parton as a person, I think she's really cool. Apart from the Kid Rock and the Lizzo, that's a bit... no. I'm sorry. And the new Sabrina Carpenter Christmas EP, Fruitcake. There's a cover on it. And I'm that petty, I've got that much to listen to, that I'm just using anything to get out of listening to something. But 6 songs, 15 minutes, I presume it's going to be a pretty cute EP for what it is. So, if you're into Christmas music, then go for it. But starting off, this week it went from pretty and like not really much dropping to like, whoa. Starting off with Andre fucking 3000 with New Blue Sun, which is like some sort of like jazz flute album. I mean, there's no rapping or anything, but like, yeah. Where did this come from? 8 songs, 1 hour, 27 minutes. I am really intrigued. 8 is my prediction. Lil Wayne and 2 Chainz with Welcome to Collargrove, which features 21 Savage, Usher, Fabulous, Benny the Butcher, Vori, Rick Ross, and Marsha Ambrosius. That also has 5 skits. Cool. 21 songs, 57 minutes long. I listened to the first Collargrove album this morning. I found it really fun. So, but from what I've heard of this, every snippet I've heard of this album is way worse and way more boring. But I hope I'm proved wrong. I'm going to guess it to be a 5. I've already listened to Danny Brown's Quaranta twice, to be honest. It features Bruiser Wolf, Mike, and it features his real voice, I guess. Something like that. 11 songs, 34 minutes long. Is this album as phenomenal as everyone has expected it to be? Find out for yourself by listening to it, or find out next week. Actually, no. I'm just going to say it. This album is fucking incredible. How incredible is it? Is it album of the year? Is it a 10? How close is it to a 10? If it's not, find out next week. But like, I'm not gonna make you wait for the inevitable, because we all know a Danny Brown album is gonna Danny Brown album. Lil Durk has dropped yet another Only the Family album, his record label, which features OTF, Bonnie Mo, Rob 49 on the first track, Lil Durk alone on the second, THF Zoo and Co-Killer on the third, Lil Durk on the fourth, and the fifth, as well as Chief Wook on the fifth, Doody Lou and YTB Fat on the sixth, Lil Durk, I Swear Vezo on the 7th, Lil Durk on the 8th, Co-Killer and D-Ski on the 9th, and Booker 600 on the 10th as well, Lil Durk on the 11th. So, 11 songs, 30 minutes long. I'm intrigued, but it's probably going to suck. 3. Maybe a 4. 4. I'm feeling kind. Next up is H with Lost Files, which features Nave Smalls, Mazzo L20 and Pot of Paper, Corday and PLK. 7 songs, 20 minutes long. 7, go on, why not? Penelope Scott with yet another EP. She dropped one like a week, 2 weeks ago, literally. Mysteries for Rats is this one. 5 songs, 21 minutes long. Judging off the song titles, it's going to be corny as fuck, so I'm going to guess it'll be a 3. Actually, no, a 4, because I presume it'll take the same style musically, which won't be painfully bad. Madness, they still exist, and have released one of the worst album covers of all time, with Theatre of Air, Sid Presents Sailor V, which is basically like kind of meant to be a musical album thing, I guess. 20 songs, 56 minutes long. I'll be lying if I think this won't be dog shit. 3. Emily Sandé, remember her? She used to be huge. She had that one really big hit with Labyrinth, I think it was. I think, didn't she? I swear to God, she had that massive song with Labyrinth. Oh, Read All About It. It did have Labyrinth, didn't it? Hang on, am I thinking of someone else? Emily Sandé, Labyrinth. Oh no, Beneath Your Beautiful. It's just a Labyrinth song featuring her, but yeah, it exists. But yeah, remember her? She still makes music. How were we to know? Literally, how were we to know? Where the fuck did she go? It features no one. 11 songs, 41 minutes long, 6. Next up is Richard Mary. I've already listened to him as well. Ghetto Fabulous. 14 songs, 33 minutes long. Is it good? It is not. Find out next week. Russ Millions with Freedom, which features NLE Chopper, Lowski, Bunny, YV, CH, GMD, RA, and T Rowdy. 7 songs, 14 minutes long. 5, 4, 3. Three. I just remembered NLE Chopper's on it. And I never listen to deluxes, but I will listen to this Scary Hours 3 / For All the Dogs Deluxe, because people are saying it's actually good. And we've waited for years for some good Drake music. So we've got 6 new Drake songs, one of which feature J. Cole. I'm going to say it's going to be like a 6, because, yeah. And finally, Mystery Kamo, who's friends with General Platinum, who I know from TikTok with The World That You Can't See, which he made with like some shitty music maker thing. 10 songs, 29 minutes long, probably like a 5 or something. But hey, it'll be cheap, but you know what? You do you. Sometimes cheap music can sound cheap but still be fire, so I'm not gonna discriminate. 28 minutes long. If this is late, it'll probably be mostly due to the fact that my whole life will basically just revolve around this Big Brother final that is happening. Bye.